let's leave our listeners with that warm feeling of frustration.
All I'll say on that regard is I took a couple statistic courses in my undergrad and graduate school. And one of my favorite courses was statistics for biology because it was all about setting up scientific studies using statistics. And the very first day, the professor said, data never lies, but everybody uses it to tell a lie. Hello, bricks, chicks, and minifigures. You are listening to AFOLs Welcome, where we talk about all things Lego from the perspective of two adult collectors. We are your co-host. I'm Grinch.
And I'm West.
And today we are going to do our 2024 Lego review show. It's been a interesting year for Lego, a busy year for Lego, a big year for Lego, a bustling year for Lego, whatever adjective gets you excited or makes you feel poorly about Lego or however you feel about Lego 2024, it's been that year for Lego. So before we get into that though, West, how about we go over to some exciting Lego news? Exciting Lego news.
Yeah, Grinch, we got a lot of great news this week, and for the last few weeks. And just to remind listeners, we've been off the podcast since about mid-November, taking a break for the Thanksgiving holiday week here in North America, and now we are back at it. And since our last episode, there was a lot we wanted to talk about, but we couldn't because it hadn't been officially revealed. But now it's revealed, and so let's get right into it. The first item I have for us to talk on this week is the Lego Ideas approved 250 new IPs for Lego Ideas. The second big news item here is that the Lego Ideas, kind of staying in that theme, have announced a Build Your Nostalgia 90s Throwback building contest. And so just like the 80s throwback contest, we have a 90s throwback contest. And it'll be really interesting to see what builders put together for the 90s throwback. You and I have talked about that one a little bit. Next, and this is kind of the big chunk of our news this week, the 2025 set reveals. All of the January wave has been revealed at this point. We have leaks about what's coming later on in the year. We will cover those when those get revealed, but we're excited to talk about the January release news. The 2025 modular has officially been revealed, including its gift with purchase. So I'm really excited to talk about that. The official images of the collectible minifigures Series 27 have been revealed. And then we have more news on more Fast and the Furious Lego sets. So, Grinch, what stood out to you as some of the most interesting news this week?
I think you said it all. Let's go ahead. No, I'm just kidding. There's a lot. And, I wanted to quickly talk about some of the 2025 set reveals. We got a ton of it. I think there's still obviously a little bit more to come, but there was one I was intrigued by and one I was excited for, but then we got the reveal and I'm like, meh, I'll still get it. But, and that's in Marvel. There was the airport battle. I was really excited about that because historically, Marvel has always been about the minifigures for Lego. And like back in the day, as an OG collector, the first Civil War airport battle was always the exception to that rule of like, this is an awesome set in general. So when I saw
Yeah.
that they were remaking it, I was really excited. And I had to say, I'm kind of disappointed. They used a similar style as the Age of Ultron opening battle scene, where it's kind of just like a display of the battle. But unfortunately, in this case, there's a big flat surface and just kind of like a facade of a wall, this teeny tiny Quinjet, and then the bulk of the pieces go into a buildable Ant-Man. And the reason I'm disappointed is because we literally just got a buildable Ant-Man, and it's pretty close to it. I haven't gone through like the nitty gritty. There's a couple of small details I've noticed. Obviously, the one that we got, 2 years ago was based off of Quantumanium. This is based off of Civil War, but I'm not a fan of that style anyways. The original one had this really cool kind of charm because it was almost like a blown up Lego figure or a
Hmm.
larger buildable Lego figure, and I'm just left disappointed. I was really looking forward to this set, and now I'm kind of like, I'll get it
Hmm.
because I'm a completionist, but reluctantly. And the other set I've seen a lot of discourse about online has been the Marvel sign. And I think some people have been complaining about the minifigure selection because there's no Hawkeye. Um, I don't know what to tell y'all. Lego's traditionally not always ever given every single minifigure. So I don't know why the expectation is different. We just got a couple Hawkeyes, so I mean that's not a bad point for me by any means. I mean it's not a positive point, but it's nothing to not buy the set over.
Yeah.
And then B, I think a lot of people are like, okay, it's just a literally a Marvel logo. What's the point of this? Um, don't buy it.
No,
It's
fair.
that simple. I'm gonna get it, but you don't have to. So there's no reason to be, you know, upset and retaliative and saying Lego has no idea what they want, or
Yeah.
no idea what they're doing. I mean, they are literally $1 billion company, so I think they have some idea what they're doing. That's all I'll
Well,
say
they're
on that.
building out their portfolio for a wider
Yeah,
variety of fans, right? So,
they've been doing that for a while. I mean, some
yeah.
people said the same thing about the flower sets when they first came out.
Yeah.
Was what, and then all of a sudden, all I heard about was people talking about these damn flower sets all the time. So uh, I'll trust Lego until they give me a reason not to. So we'll see.
Well,
Historically speaking, they've been pretty right.
the airport battle, I agree with you. It does feel a little lacking. I One of the things I've always liked about Marvel was sort of their ability to um, portray things in a more realistic fashion than something like Lego City would. So actually, we get some really cool vehicles out of the Marvel waves. And
Mm-hmm.
so I was hoping to get a little bit more airport infrastructure done in a more
Yeah.
realistic way with the grays and like the luggage trolleys and stuff that we see at the airport that we haven't really seen in Lego before, because Lego's always trying to, with City, trying to do their own thing, right? They always try to gussy things up a little bit in their own unique way, and that's always interesting and fun. But the Marvel series has introduced vehicles that just they look like Jeeps. They look like
Mm-hmm.
they're the fuel truck from the airport. It was kind of an add-on set from a few
Yeah.
years ago. Was like probably one of the most realistic Lego fuel trucks um, that we're ever gonna get. And like they didn't do that on purpose. That's just the set they built. So it's kind of fun to see those sets come together. And I was, maybe hoping that that was more the way the set was going to go. So I would agree that I think this is, um, maybe a little bit lacking in that regards. Those vignette styles are kind of interesting though, so I'm curious to see if that continues for Marvel.
Yeah.
But it seems to be a trend. Grinch, what did you think about the Sunflower Initiative and everything coming out of that?
Hey, I mean, I'm all for it at the end of the day. I think, if you really want to make a difference with something like that. So for those that don't know, the Sunflower Initiative is a real life a real life program, not just a Lego life program, a real program, um, where you wear a like sunflower lanyard to denote any sort of hidden disability, right? And so, I'm sorry, I should say non-visible disability. And so, Lego is now putting some of that in their Duplo toys, their friend toys, and then also even their Icons 18 plus toys are going to have a character with the sunflower lanyard to denote that maybe they're on the spectrum, or maybe they have a sensory disorder that you just can't visibly see. And
Hmm.
so I think if you want to enact real change in life, right, this is just make it a part of everyday life, right? I won't get too divisive here, but everybody says we shouldn't need shouldn't need a program like this. Everyone should just treat everybody well. So there you go. Just make it a part of everyday life, and we're in a good spot, right? So I think it's a really nice tie-in to be able to do something like that, to just make more people aware of it and just make it kind of part of everybody's routine, just like Lego did a few years ago with minifigures with stuff like a hearing aid, right? It's just
Hmm.
there. Every once in a while I'm surprised when I open up a set. I'm like, oh, cool. This guy's got a hearing aid, or this girl's got a hearing aid.
Yeah, and those were always, visual things that Lego could depict, right? And so this is,
Hmm.
I think, an attempt for Lego to acknowledge those, like you mentioned, those non-visual um, challenges that people face, right? And there are things that, because they're non-visual, right, like you can't depict it that way. It's maybe something that we don't necessarily recognize, and so yeah, it's just a way to kind of get minifigures to continue to mirror our everyday life, which I think is a really awesome concept from Lego.
Yeah.
Well, Grinch, I'm excited to talk about the modular, and we keep threatening a
You've been trying to
modular
talk about the
episode,
modular for the last like 2 months.
and I'll keep it brief because, like I said, we've been threatening a modular episode, and I think at this point, almost each set needs its own episode because we have so much to talk about with these buildings. This one was really exciting. A few months ago, we got some leaked images or leaked, some leaks really that said that we were going to get a series of apartments, and that was something that really
Hmm.
excited me
That
because
was the first leak, right? And then it changed.
yeah, and I have always that is one thing I think Lego could do really easily from a modular perspective
Yeah.
is just make a series of apartments or townhomes, either in a 16 by 32 style and give us two to three of them, or build them up in different stories on a building would be really fun. And so, like a modern apartment building or there's a lot of architectural kind of juice to squeeze out of that theme or that style of build, and so or type of building. And so I thought that's what we were going to get. So I was really excited about that. I have to say I am still very excited about this. We have our first pub in Lego form. They call it an
Hmm.
inn. I think we all know what they're building there.
Tudor corner.
Yeah, I just it's really pretty. This set has been getting a lot of attention. Bricks Tips and Bricks on Instagram gave it a perfect 25 out of 25, which I've rarely, if ever, seen before, which was very surprising. I just think it's really exciting to see. I'll say it still suffers from a lack of bathrooms for our minifigures. There's only one of them in the building, which makes me laugh. But and no sink, but um, it's still fun to see these sets come together and see what Lego builds. And I think when you rate modulars, one of the things that I always look at is like what's its ability to expand, and which I know is sort of a controversial topic, but I will say was sort of in line with the original intent of the Lego designers when they made the series, right? They kind of designed them to just add floors to them if you wanted to.
It's funny you say that because I just built a lot of the original ones, and none of them have interiors.
Right, right.
Like, and then I remember it was at the pet shop. Everyone was mad because there was no interior, and I'm like, again,
Hmm.
there was never a precedence set that there was gonna be
Yeah,
interiors.
if you are a modern modular fan and you go and build the old ones, I think you'll be very disappointed with what you find. So,
He'd be like, green grocer. Why does everybody like this?
a word of caution. I just,
Yeah.
it's really pretty. Some of the designs here are really unique. The way they did the roof, or not the roof, but the siding done in that Tudor style
Mm-hmm.
is really, really interesting with pieces that are not even clipped on. They're just sort of sitting there. So
I'm
some,
curious how they've done that because those can just fall out, and that wouldn't be Lego standard. So I think they're. My guess is they have them clipped somehow in there. Like
so there's
maybe
a,
they've used
I,
a
I'll,
two by two tile,
I'll
or have
spoil
you
it
you have
for you.
spoilers?
It's a 2x4
Oh, uh-huh.
tile
Look at that. Look how
brick
smart I am.
piece, right? So it's the two by, or sorry, it's a two
Two
by
by
two
two with the
square,
half tile.
half tile, half brick,
Yeah,
or plate, and they put a 1x2 tile on that section,
got it.
and then they slide it in. And you can actually go onto YouTube and watch the interviews. Tiaggio has a great interview with the designers, and then the designers themselves have a really good, just sort of Lego insider video
Hmm.
of what it what it looks like. But yeah, some really interesting build techniques there. and some really great recolors of pieces. It's just really fun. I think this is a day one purchase for me. We did get a gift with purchase, the newsstand. It's a great addition to the city. I think a lot of people are going to sit here and say, well, Funhole did it first, and Funhole has a newsstand. But this type of gift with purchase is great. This is one of those gift with purchases that annoys me because I do think this could be a set that Lego could just sell and do really well with. But um, you know, we've talked about gift with purchases in the past. So Grinch, what do you think about the modular?
I don't think we've talked about gift with purchases, West.
No.
um, I like I'm curious because this says you can get it from January 1st to 7th. So I don't know if that's like they're giving it a whole week, whereas I think normally they just give it like 3 days, right?
Yeah.
But or maybe I'm wrong. That could be wrong. Don't fact check me on that. Just trust my words. Don't fact check me. Um, there's nothing I can add that you haven't said already. I really like it. I think it looks really good. I like the gift with purchase. I've got a reminder in my phone on January 1st to buy it. So stay up till midnight. Also buy the Lego set. It does feel like maybe we're entering a new era of modulars a little bit.
Yeah. How so?
This is chock full of details. I don't know. There's just something aesthetically about this, whereas like, the last one we got was a natural history museum, and that one kind of doesn't really feel like it fits into the modulars really well. Like it obviously is a modular, but it's just kind of like this squared building, and in your modular setup, you're kind of like, where do I put this? And like looking at the pictures with this next to it, it kind of, to me anyways, the museum kind of stands out, but and then next to the jazz club, this also kind of stands out. So I'm curious to see what they do next, because it
Yeah.
it does kind of feel like we're getting into maybe, this is our next Parisian restaurant, if you would, of, a little bit more detailed pieces externally, right?
It's going to be a tough set to top. I'll say that because yeah,
Yeah.
the facade on that building is so intricate, and it does the way the color blocking has occurred. The dark green, the nougat color, which I thought we had bricks, the um, brick pieces in nougat, but they said that's a new recolor.
The 1x2 we didn't. The 1x4 we did.
Okay, I must be. Is nougat the same as the color from the boutique hotel?
No, the
Okay,
boutique hotel was
is that like light nougat?
light nougat. Yeah,
Okay, I swear yeah, I guess I thought we did, but anyways, neither here
there's
nor
a
there.
way to check.
There is. Well, if the Lego people are saying it's a new recolor, then I'll trust Lego.
Yeah, so we had the 1x4 masonry brick in that color, but not the 1x2.
Okay. Yeah, it just the building is really unique. It just looks really different. It's really rich in ways that we just haven't seen before in the modular series.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot going on. I would agree that it just stands out in a way the other modulars don't. If you put it
Yeah.
next, like you said it exactly, I mean, perfectly. If you put it next to the Natural History Museum, it just, the Natural History Museum looks a little bland compared to this one.
Mm-hmm.
And the way the
When I
roof
think
goes together too is so realistic. It
right.
just, the angles are so crisp and so tight. I don't know, dude. I think that, like, this is going to be a really hard model to top.
I mean, we said the same thing about the Parisian restaurant when that came out, right? Like it was like, wow, this is perfection. And nothing against the Parisian restaurant, but if you go back now and you kind of look at the Parisian restaurant, you were like, yeah, it's still good. It still stands on its own, but it's not as special anymore, right? Because we've got stuff like this. So I'm curious about the next one, and I'm curious about the one after that, right?
Yeah.
Because that's going to be the real. They could have this banger, and then we could have an immediate other banger, and it's like, there you go.
It's
We're
also
in a new era here.
it's also a very timely piece, right? And so it does,
Hmm.
when you put it against the Natural History Museum or you put it against like the Jazz Cafe, for example, which I think it actually pairs better with the Jazz Cafe because of the richness of the colors, and the dark reds from the roof
Yeah,
and the building kind of flow nicely.
sure.
They do it's a very period piece, and so it does. Tudor style buildings are not unknown in the United States, but they're generally more of a throwback to them being the original thing that you see in England or in.
They're a little kitsy kind of by design, right?
Right, it's
Like
sort of designed to
Epcot.
be. Yeah, that you see it a lot. The last place I saw it a lot was in Asheville, North Carolina, at the Biltmore
Sure.
Estate, which was clearly a throwback to sort of traditional English architecture when they were building the estate and the grounds nearby. But it's not like the Tudor style was, native to North Carolina or done there on purpose. It's always done as an afterthought of like, oh,
Right.
I want to build something that reminds me of this period because I want to bring in that air of exclusivity or, the fanciness of this Tudor style building. And so, which is a very common thing here in the United States, but yeah, I don't know. It'll be an interesting one to place in the city because it is such a unique building. So
Well, Wes, let's keep rolling. I did want to say one more
yeah,
thing
absolutely.
in relation to the tutor, but not exclusively about it. I think it's really the reason why we've decided not to cover leaks on this channel is we went through a bit um, of a process with this modular. Right, originally it was a townhouse, a block of townhouses, and it was even rumored to be three skinny base plates long, right? So like the same size as the assembly square.
Hmm.
And then it was rumored to be a bed and breakfast or a pub, and then it changed to a bed and breakfast all of a sudden, right? And so what we don't want to be doing is setting false expectations, especially as the popularity of the podcast has grown. I think our Spotify and Apple Podcasts has really taken off. So what we want to be good stewards of knowledge and not necessarily hyping up our listeners to something that doesn't exist, and quite frankly wasting your time on it, right?
Yeah.
Because it, there's no reason to go through an emotional roller coaster on a Lego set and have all these expectations and then have them be destroyed just because West and I were sitting here daydreaming about having buying 5 of these and recoloring all the townhouses, and now we've got a true residential district, and let's make a San Francisco, like that's not the point. So that was kind of a decision we made, was to make sure that we're not falsely um, lifting up information that we're unsure of or we think is false. So I think we're pretty clear whenever we're speculating, but just wanted to kind of point that out. I was like, this is a prime example of why we've actively decided not to cover leaks.
No, it's a great point, Grinch. So, and thank you
So
for
CMF
revisiting that.
27,
Yeah.
what is your favorite of the bunch?
Oof. I no one really stands out to me other than I like the telescope girl because the telescope build looks really unique with some newish pieces that make it kind of stand out
Mm-hmm.
and look pretty realistic. But I'll pass that over to you. Which one stands out for you?
There's the Pteranodon or pterodactyl costume
Yeah.
person that I'm gonna get because I like dinosaurs. I like dinosaurs. And then there's also the wolf pack
Yeah.
trooper with the dire wolf. I think that there's a lot of cool animals in this one. There's also like the cockatiel with the pirate person, and then the new fluffy cat. So I might have to get my hands on just those animals, but the dire wolf is really
Yeah.
cool.
I do like the cat person, and the cat person would be a
Yeah.
fun addition to this modular to the cat, like the opposite the partner to the cat person who lives in the loft of the modular building.
Uh
So
huh.
I'm already finding ways to incorporate the CMFs into the builds, but
I'm married to a crazy cat lady, as you know, Wes. So I might have to get the cat person. Just
I do the
I
monster's kind of fun, and the printed book would be great to incorporate into
mm-hmm.
like the bookstore or whatever as like another title floating around. So that could be kind of a fun way to incorporate it. But he's kind of goofy looking too. So
He is. He is. He's like this weird like ghost minotaur thing.
yeah, so yeah. It's I would say it's a good one. I wouldn't run down to the store to go and try to collect them all.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's gotten me thinking about CMFs in a way I haven't in a while.
Yeah,
There's Usually there's one or two I'm excited about. Here it's kind of like I'm like one brings me in, and then a couple more keep me there.
Yeah.
So.
Well, last but not least, we had the Fast and the Furious sets, and we know we have a Technic set, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I think there's definitely some potential for more.
Do you
Um,
remember our Speed Champions episode, West,
yeah,
or have you blacked that out? Okay.
no,
Sometimes,
no.
sometimes things in the past just go out the door. You remember you asked me, you said, what Speed Champion set would you want? And
Yeah,
I said, a Fast and the Furious orange Toyota Supra from the first movie. And they're making it, except for it's in Technic.
yeah. But the Technic Charger preceded the Speed Champion set.
So hopefully we
So
get more. We obviously don't have any
it
information on
was the
that, but
Challenger.
hopefully
I
we get
apologize.
more.
Challenger.
Yeah,
Just
there's a challenge. There's Dom's Challenger.
yeah, I don't want anyone to roast me in the comments.
Run you over in the comments, give you
Yeah,
some road rash. Yeah,
yeah. Oof.
yeah. All right, so I think that's all for our robust Lego news. Of course, there was a ton of reveals, so go check those out. There's the Harry Potter Diagon Alley with the micro figures. We didn't even get to talk about that today. That looks good. So, if you're a fan of any of the kind of ongoing evergreen themes, go check out those respective themes reveals. I think they're slowly but surely getting loaded onto lego.com. I haven't
Hmm.
seen all of the sets up there yet, but any of your major news outlets are going to have those sets revealed. So check them out in all of their glory. Let's go ahead and move over to today's topic. Today's topic. All right, Wes. So it's the end of the year. Insert adjective here to determine what type of year it was for Lego. I'd say it was a very eventful and exciting year for Lego. How did you feel about the year overall?
Yeah, I thought it was a really interesting year. We continued to see the Icons theme and Lego engage in their buildings for adults, not necessarily
Mm-hmm.
buildings, but right, but making sets for adults. And we saw some real heavy hitters released this year. So that's always exciting to see. This has been, for somebody who's been an AFOL for so long, seeing this trend of Lego really leaning into these adult oriented sets has been both really exciting but also difficult on the wallet.
On the wallet.
Yeah. But it, it's just they continue to release these sets that not only push the boundaries in terms of like technical boundaries of like what's possible, but also just making these incredibly specialized pieces and in a way that I don't think is disingenuous or uh, outside of the realm of like what the intent of Lego is, right? Because I think sometimes Lego gets a lot of critique of like they're just making too many pieces. Like what happened to the old 2x4? But we've talked about it. Like if you go back to the 80s and look at like the city police car, it's like would you like that or would you like the police car that's coming out in the new um uh Spider-Verse, set,
Yeah.
Miles Morales set, because that one looks a lot like a police car, and the old one looks like a shoebox. So, like take your pick. So
Right.
I think you got to give and take, right? Like there are new pieces. But it's really exciting. I think Lego's gotten a lot more disciplined with that than they were in the past. So, yeah, it's interesting to see. It's always interesting to see what they come out with. Like I said, there's some real highlights this year. We're gonna get into that later. But Grinch, what was your thoughts?
Oh, we're gonna get into the highlights. Yeah, I think yeah, I'm a big Marvel collector. I collect a lot of the licensed IPs as well. So, um, from a Marvel standpoint, I was pretty excited about the year at the start of the year, and then as the year went on, I was kind of like, eh. But that's kind of how it always goes with Marvel. So I don't think I'm like not super indifferent on 24 versus 23 or 22, for example. Um, but I think it just another solid year at the end of the day,
It's
right?
been a hard year for Marvel in terms of like creating, and Lego for creating like new original Marvel things, right? So like a
Yeah.
lot of the Marvel we saw this year was rehashes of old or existing sets,
Which I'm
re-releases,
totally fine with,
which is
to be honest.
and those re-releases that we have gotten from Marvel recently, I'm thinking the Quad
That
Jet or
The
the Quinjet.
Milano,
Yeah, I
Chef's
mean,
kiss.
all of them have been just really, really good. So
Yeah,
it's been really exciting to see all of that stuff.
yeah. So today we're gonna do our awards for 2024, and that is a very subjective conversation. So before we got into that, what we wanted to do, because we bring a lot of data and we try to have conversations outside of we try to have objective conversations, right? Where we're just sticking to the facts, and then we'll add our little subjective kind of flair and hot takes, if you would, on top of that. But let's go through. I'm gonna quiz you, West, real quick
Oh no.
on some 2024 data. So this part is a little bit up for debate because it depends on what you count as a set. Do you count the magazine gifts as a set? Do you count the books as a set, for example? Do you count the, you know, promo gift with purchases as sets, right? So I've got, I'm going to just stick with Brick Economy's kind of summary of the year for this. So
Nice.
blame them, not me. No. But just explaining where I'm getting this number from specifically. How many sets did we have, and how many themes were in 2024?
Oh man. Well, we know the high from 2021 was almost 900 sets, if I recall correctly.
Mm-hmm.
We've been on a downward trend, so I
Thank God.
think we're probably somewhere less than 900. And I would, if I had to take a stab, I would say somewhere around like 700 or something like that.
Yeah, so we had. Where did my note go? We had 692 sets across 32 themes. So, like you said, a bit of a downward trend versus 2024. 2023 is 2022 and 2021. 2021, it definitely peaked. And then, West, what was the most expensive set this year?
Oh, that's challenging. We got a lot of larger sets, but not anything that was incredibly big as in years past. I'm thinking Titanic or Eiffel Tower. So the big sets this year was Barad-dûr came out this year,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, a little set called the Jabba's Sail Barge came out this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I think those were two of the biggest sets. I don't remember the price on Barad-dûr or Jabba's Sail Barge, but I'm going to guess one of those.
It was the one that was scrutinized more for the price than the other.
That's just because everyone
It
wanted
was
Lord of the
it
Rings.
was Java Sail Barge
Oh, okay.
at 500 US dollars. So not, not as expensive as we have seen in years past. And I actually I had to correct myself here. 2024 had 726 sets. It looks like Brick Economy just had a refresh of data since I wrote that down. But that is still a downward trajectory versus the 914 we had in 2021, 908 in 2022,
Oh, gosh.
and then 815 in 2023. So almost 100 less sets than last year, and almost 200 less sets than 2 and 3 years ago. This is actually back down lower than pre-pandemic levels. So 2019 there was 789 sets, 2018 760 sets. So um, perhaps this might change as Brick Economy firms up their list for the year, right? Because obviously somebody has to add all that in. So I'll keep an eye on that. But yeah, so continuing like we talked about that downward trend. So
A change
back
for the
to the
better, too.
yeah, I agree. I agree.
Like
I
with
agree.
dialing in their formulas.
A little bit more focused, right?
Yeah.
A little bit more focused. So highest piece count, and I'll give
Mm.
you a hint. You already said Jabba Sail Barge and Barad-dûr. How about we start there?
Well, because Java
That's,
Sail
that's a
Barge
very generous
was
hint.
was so panned for its price to part ratio, I think Barad-dûr probably has more pieces.
Ding, 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 ding. 5,471 pieces. So last, but certainly smallest, I guess, or I don't know, whatever anecdote you want there. Which set had the most minifigures? This isn't really a factoid that you hear very often.
Oh, it's a tough one because I would think it would be a set like Barad because it had so many, or even the Sail Barge because both of those sets usually have a ton. And I'm just kind of thinking out loud at the moment, so allow
Mm-hmm.
me a second to do some thought, analysis here. The other one I could maybe see is X Mansion, right? Having quite a few
Mm-hmm.
minifigures. So I don't remember those figured like the actual numbers off the top of my head. So
Well,
I'll
West,
turn
I've
it over to
got
you.
a Google sheet here with 500 plus rows of data, and I will tell you, Star Wars, the sail barge does not break the top five.
Oh my gosh.
It is actually number six.
Wow. What were the top five?
The first, actually, I'll start from five and go up or down, however you want to say it. At number five, we had Icons, Lord of the Rings, Barad with 11 minifigures. Next, we had the Botanical Gardens with 12
Oh, yeah.
minifigures. We had the Chinese family or Chinese New Year family reunion celebration with 13 minifigures. We had Ninjago Tournament Temple City with 14. And then the most minifigures was Monkey Kid Megapolis City, or Megapolis City, sorry, with 16 minifigures.
Wow.
Wow, isn't that neat? Let me push up my glasses and talk about it. Um, so those were kind of the big high notes, right? Price, pieces, minifigures. Let's talk about some data. And this is our 35th episode of this podcast.
Yeah.
We started back in February, and our very first episode we talked about the value and price of Lego, and we presented some pretty good data there just about the averages. One thing I changed this go around is I added in the median
Mm,
because as we know, Lego has been getting bigger and more pieces. But what about average is a good way to look at stuff, but it's not always representative of your data source, right? You could have a set with like the Eiffel Tower with 10,000 pieces in it, right?
right.
And that's going to skew your average higher. If you had five sets, one of them had 10,000 pieces and the rest of them had one pieces, your average of all five of those sets would be what? 2,000 pieces, 3,000 pieces, right? So I added in median because in that case, your median piece count would be one.
Yeah.
So it can be a little bit more representative of the breadth and the kind of direction of the pieces, price, whatever data you're looking at, versus just the absolute average and having, smaller stuff skew it down or bigger stuff skew it up.
And you did, I will mention, and I think wisely, remove things like the CMFs from this data
Correct.
set. And why that's important for the listeners is if you think about the CMFs, right? And it's, let's say you have a collectible minifigure. Each minifigure has, technically, they're not one piece, right? So you've got the head, the torso, the pants. So that's already three
And their
pieces.
accessory, right?
Whatever hair piece they have, that's four. Let's pretend there's an animal in there, that's five, and then maybe you've got the plate it sits on, so that's six, right? So
Mm-hmm.
like we are already stacking up into, let's say there's about 10 pieces in this CMF, which is I think generously small, but at the same time it serves a point,
27 to 10 would be probably your
right?
average.
Let's say it retails for $5. That means you have a price per part ratio of 50 cents, right? So
Yeah.
that's insane. And so we can't, if you're going to skew your averages, this, including all of the CMFs that were released, is a great way to do that. And you'll see your price to part ratio increase I mean, there's 600, over 700 sets were released this year, so it's not going to increase a ton, but it will.
Oh, it actually would, because
Well, fair enough.
every single CMF,
Yeah,
each individual figure counts as a set.
right.
So that means there's 36, which is 5% of that 700,
Yeah,
right? And there's a case of the CMFs, that's a separate set.
yeah,
There is a blind box of a CMF, that's a separate set. So it's the way that the CMFs are categorized, are the taxonomy of the CMF is really weird.
yeah.
There's
So
also the mystery 6-pack. So
yeah,
yeah,
and you did the same with Duplo, and you did the same with some of the other like gift with purchases, like the
gear,
magazine gift with
books,
purchases and stuff,
magazine
right?
gifts. Yeah,
And so I
yeah,
think that's really wise. So what you're looking at is an adjusted data set of just the Lego figures, or not the Lego figures, right? But like kind of our core Lego sets, including things like Technic, right? But our kind
yeah.
of main Lego sets. And what was your findings, Grinch?
Well, and then just to kind of hit the point home, the reason we took out like gear and accessories was because like the Lego mug, for example, is one piece and it's $25. One piece and it's $25. So that's not super representative of your Lego set on the shelf that everybody's buying, right?
Right.
So good call out, Wes. So the average price of a set in 2024 was $69.60. Nice. The which is up slightly to 2023, which was $67.45, but not too much, right? Not too much. The median price, this is where the median comes in, right? So for folks that don't know, your average is the average of the sum, right, of all your sets. So kind of whatever that set is most likely going to be based off all the prices. The median is going to be the set that's in the middle of your data set. And that's important because it's going to tell you, is that average being brought up because of some higher, more expensive sets, or is it being brought down because there's a lot more cheaper sets? So the median price, so if you went onto the shelf at Target and you split up, you said half the sets are over here and half the sets are over here based off of price, you would be left with a set that was $45 in 2024. Now that is up $5 versus 2023. So I think that's the bigger tell there, right? Of the average is up $2 ish, but the median's up almost $5.
And what the median does, right? And to kind of explain what Grinch is getting after here with the average. Let's say you had a bunch of small Lego sets that were really cheap, and then you had one or two of them that were really, really expensive. We had like a bunch of like $50 sets or even less, and then a couple of like $700 Lego sets. Your average would still be very, very high because of those $700 Lego sets. But your median would be really low because you have, 20 under $50 Lego sets. And so that's where you'd have a huge skew.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're seeing the median increase and we're seeing the average increase, we can say confidently we know Lego's producing more high end, more expensive Lego sets, which is reflected in the average, right? But then the median
Right.
is also increasing, which tells us that we're also seeing the number of high end Lego sets also increase. And so that was something we reflected on when we did our price guide this year for the holidays. And we said that, hey, once we hit the 100 plus range for Lego sets, it really opened up the amount of sets we were looking at. And it felt like that was when we really started to have to make some difficult choices because the prices in this case are skewing more expensive. But you also had some other figures that tells us that from a price to piece ratio perspective, we're sitting pretty consistent. So Grinch, what did you find there?
Yeah, so I just talked about the prices, and kind of like we talked about at the beginning of the year, like, is Lego getting more expensive? Yes, the price on the shelf is getting higher, but you're not necessarily paying more for the brick.
Right.
And I hate to be this person. I really have no pleasure in doing this. But again, We looked at the average and the median. And I think sometimes people confuse average and median because it's like, oh, if I grabbed a random Lego set from the shelf, on average would be $67. That's not true. Actually, you are more likely to grab a $40 Lego set, is what this is telling us, right? Or something that's close to $40, or $45. So when it comes to pieces in Lego sets, the average in 2024 was 614, and the average in 2023 was 580. The median in 2024 actually went up higher than 2023. The median in 2024 was 342 pieces versus 298. So 340 versus 300. So the median went up more than the average did. So now your smaller sets are also getting more pieces, which is reflected in that average and median price that we saw. But what does this have to do with everybody's favorite metric, price per part ratio? Somebody's listening right now, like, get to the point, Grinch. I know that's gone up. If you believe that, you would be wrong. And I went out to three decimal places because it was tied. So I had to go out to the next decimal here. So the average price per part in 2023 was 11 cents, 11.9 cents. The average in 2024 was 11.3. The median in 2024 was 9.9 cents per piece. The median in 2023 was 10.4. So the average and median went down slightly as far as price per part goes across the portfolio.
And I think you hit it on the head when you, and this is a hypothesis, right? So the data could prove this, that it's those smaller sets that are getting more piece intensive. I'm thinking our Speed Champion sets that are largely driving down those averages and medians year over year. But we are, like we said, seeing more expensive and bigger sets hit the market, which I think is partially to contribute to the overall feeling that Lego is getting more expensive. So
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, if you're going to buy 10 sets this year versus 10 sets last year, it will cost you more money,
right,
period. However, you are technically getting more bang for your buck.
yeah,
It's just that the threshold to enter is becoming the challenge,
yeah,
right? And that's, I think, where a lot of the conversation of is Lego getting more expensive comes from.
and so in a way that would make our professors in graduate school smile, the answer to that question is really it depends.
Yeah.
because
Yes.
because
We're adults. You got it. Oh man, dude.
it depends, because is Lego getting more expensive? No. In fact, as we demonstrated, the price per part ratio of Lego is getting cheaper. But like you said, is Lego getting more expensive? Yes, because in order to buy Lego, you don't have the $20 Lego sets that were available in the past. You have the $30, the $40 Lego sets as your entry Lego sets. And so your the value of Lego as a commodity isn't changing. In fact, it's getting smaller, like we talked about, but like that barrier to entry is increasing. And so in some respects, it's a little bit of both. So, just to leave our listeners with a fun little puzzler to think on in the new year.
Yeah, now that half of the listeners are like so far on the edge of their seat that if they're driving they need to pay attention to the road right now because they're like really getting into the data, and now that the other half of the listeners are falling asleep, um let's talk about some Lego, huh?
Let's
So
do
that
that.
was the data. Kind of poetic, right, to end the year on some just nice data here that we kind of started the whole podcast journey off on in the first place. So
The certainty of data is always wonderful, but the it depends nature of data is always frustrating. So let's leave our listeners with that warm feeling of frustration.
all I'll say on that regard is I took a couple statistic courses in my undergrad and graduate school. And one of my favorite courses was statistics for biology because it was all about setting up scientific studies using statistics. And the very first day, the professor said, data never lies, but everybody uses it to tell a lie.
Profound.
So it depends. It depends. All right. So that being said, West, let's get to our reward show. So we wanted to do, I think there's a couple of rewards shows out there. We wanted to do things just a touch differently. So we really hope that you enjoy this. And as you're listening to these awards, please, note them down and let us know in the comment section what your awards are, right? For each one of these. We have 11 total awards, and here's how it's going to work. There's kind of 10 main awards, and then there's the cream of the crop, the best Lego set of 2024 as the 11th award. Each one of the 10, we have 4 nominees. And then anything that's been nominated for one of those 10 rewards is automatically nominated for the best set of the year. So the 10 awards go best set based on an original IP, the best set based on a licensed IP, best fantasy set, best sci fi set, best real life vehicle set, best historical set, best video game based set, the set with the best minifigures, the best re released, reimagined, or remastered set, however you want to put it, the best set based on everyday life. Those are our top 10 awards. And our goal was to get as many, Lego sets to fall under the collective criteria as possible. And then, of course, that 11th award, like I said, is the best Lego set of 2024. So, Wes, do you want to get us started off on our first award?
Yes. So our first award is the best set based on original IP. And our nominees for this set were the Natural History Museum, Andrea's Modern Mansion, the Tuxedo
Ooh.
Cat, and the Auspicious Dragon. And Grinch, why don't you announce the winner and provide our listeners with a brief explanation for why we picked it?
Well, as I said earlier, the old wife here is a crazy cat lady, and we picked the Tuxedo Cat. And I think real reason why is we see a lot of sets based on, everyday objects. The Lego Ideas birds, for example, right? We got a kingfisher, tranquil garden, right? Something based off of, that's been fabricated. And for me, the Tuxedo Cat is just a phenomenal example of like people just getting so hyped about something and then sitting there being like, why hasn't this been made before?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then not only why hasn't this been made before, but like, this is excellent. Right. I mean, this is really good. I remember there was a Lego Masters competition where they did dogs. This Tuxedo Cat, like, just phenomenally done. Right. It just well sculpted. I think I saw just so many people posting about the Tuxedo Cat. And I think ultimately that, as well as the build experience and just kind of the cultural phenomenon of internets and cats, it took the cake here.
Yeah.
So next we have the best set based on a license, and the nominees were the Super Mario World and Yoshi, the Jaws Ideas set, the Fortnite Battle Bus, and then Lord of the Rings Barad-dûr. And West, what set took the cake here?
And the winner for the best set based on a license was the Lego Ideas Jaws set. And I think for both of us, this set was really exciting to see released. I know we
Mm-hmm.
were both really excited, not only when we heard it announced, but then to see it in form. Lego has always done a really great job of building out these animals, right? What you talked about with the Tuxedo Cat, just the brick sculpting, and the Brucey, the Jaws was no different, right? He was sculpted extremely well, and the way that they separated the set so you could put the Jaws shark onto a stand was really fun to see. And then to then see it put, able to separate them and you put them into the water with some really great detail for the water itself, and then just a really fantastic rendition of the orca fishing boat or the shark hunting boat from the movie. It was really great to see. We had three
Mhm.
fantastic minifigures in that set. Some really just some really great actors in American cinema. Richard Dreyfuss, uh, to name one of them. Um, uh, to see Brody in minifigure form was really, really fun. So it was really cool to see these minifigures combined with this great sculpting of the shark. It just is going to be a standout set for a very long time.
Yeah, I think this is a set that like to, you know, 5 years ago we would have never dreamed of getting,
Yeah,
right? But the kind of the shift in focus of Lego to include more adult themes really allowed this one to get through on Lego Ideas. So very, very exciting.
yeah. And I incorrectly called him, or I called him Bruce. I don't recall if that was the name of the animatronic shark. I think I might be connecting that to Finding Nemo. Anyways,
I that's why I laughed because I think it's the sharks they've been fighting Nemo.
yeah, Bruce fits for a great white shark, so I'm gonna just stick
It's
with
a good
Bruce.
name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's go to the next award. This is the best fantasy set. Our nominees were Lord of the Rings Barad-dûr, Santa's Post Office, Dungeons and Dragons Red Keep, and the Dungeons and Dragons CMF. And Grinch, who was our winner?
Drum roll, please. Lord of the Rings, Barad-dûr. Need I say more? No, I just sculpted incredibly well. Good minifigure selection. I'd say actually the highs of the set are the minifigures and the lows of the set are the minifigures
Oh,
because there was some. Yeah, I mean there was like the Sauron minifigure is the best minifigure of the year, hands down. Period. Fight me, fight me. But we didn't need a ring wraith. Like we're that minifigure slot should have been used for somebody else. Sam and Frodo were good inclusions. I'm glad that we got those unique helmets, the orc helmets, because those really saved those minifigures. But also kind of a bit of a, did we need those or could we got in, you know, more minifigure like an Isildur minifigure would have. I mean, that would have just
oh, that would have
been
been really cool.
like, my God, right? Like I would have. I don't. I
Yes.
disregard. Um, yeah, yeah, correct. So that what was amazing. What could have been was even better, right?
Yeah.
So, but overall, though, when we were making this list, I was talking to you, and we thought this is the set this year that had the most piece count. 5,471, I believe, or 5,741, dyslexia. Um, and when I built it, there was a couple of steps that were like maybe times six, but they were a small wall segment. It maybe had 20, 40 pieces in it, right? The lack of repetitiveness in this build. This has to be the largest build I've ever done that is, and also the least repetitive build
Yeah.
at that scale. Something like the Eiffel Tower is cool when you see it, right? It's cool on display, but anytime I look at that, I'm like, my gosh, like that has to be so boring. Like that's just a job, right? To put that all together because it's just you're just clicking, you're building the same set 4 times when you do that, right? With this set, there was unique rock structure and lava structure with the base of it. And then you start to get into more of this tower that had more of the kind of unique curved architecture, right? The kind of metalled architecture that you see on Barad-dûr, and then you get into the top silo, which is again a little bit more flat, but some details on it. And then you get to the top, and the top has these cool details on it that are kind of more of the spiky parts of the tower. So you get 4 different building experiences rather than 4 of the same building experiences. And then within those building experiences, there's very little repetition. So you just don't see that in a large set. Now, I haven't built the Dungeons and Dragons Red Keep. I imagine that's very similar, but just for me, with the power of this IP and something that a lot of Lego fans have been waiting for 20 plus years, it's got to be Barad-dûr.
It's also a great set to look at, and the color variation and usage in a way that's just
Mm-hmm.
really exciting. One of the things I love that the Lego designers have been really paying attention to recently is their use of color on pieces to depict the changing light. And so you'll notice at the base of Barad-dûr, you have these lighter pieces kind of reflecting the glow of the lava on the rock. And then when you look at the very top of the Barad-dûr, the spire, and you have the 2 points of the spire, and you see as you get closer to the top where the eye is, the pieces get lighter and lighter, reflecting the actual reflection of the flaming eye on the obsidian of the tower. And so rather
Mm-hmm.
than just keeping it black and using a light piece to kind of light all of that up, they show that light, that changing light with Lego pieces themselves. I just think that's such a really great technique. It shows so much thought and care, and also just an expert eye for design that our Lego designers have. So this is really fun to see.
Yeah, I think that kind of use of color, like you're referencing, really Ninjago City was the first to do that, right, with the water. And you've seen that water technique be used over and over again since then. This is really kind of that next generation of that, right?
Yeah, it's great to see.
So on to our next sci-fi. Or, sorry, spoiler alert. On to our next award here. We have the best sci-fi set. The nominees were the Interstellar Spaceship, the MIDI Scale Invisible Hand Star Wars ship, the Dune Atreides Royal Ornithopter, and the Star Wars 25th Anniversary Droideka. West, who won?
Well, I am happy to announce that the Dune Atreides Royal Ornithopter is our winner for our best sci-fi set. And this is a set that not only is close to my heart, but is also just a fantastic Lego set. And
Mm-hmm.
this year we got a lot of really awesome Dune, uh, releases. We had the second part 2 of the Dune movie come out, which was wonderful. If you have not seen it, highly recommend it. It takes the first movie and just continues to make this, to prove that these books that we thought were unimaginable in movie form can be made if made by the right creator. And Denis Villeneuve is definitely the right creator for Dune. Going to Lego, or getting into the Lego, right? We had this amazing set that was created. The ornithopter is this dragonfly looking helicopter thing from the Dune series, and it has these really intricate folding wings, this really intricate flapping motion. There's 4 wings on each side of this vehicle, and they're all flapping in a similar pattern, but just slightly uh, off phase of each other. And Lego was able to capture all of that. And so what you get is this really detailed set with this detailed landing gear that deploy and it's able to sit on and retract, and then this really detailed flapping motion of the wings. The full thing just looks fantastic. It's a great set to build. It's an incredibly technical set. It was actually probably one of the more difficult sets that I built in recent memory, just because you had to really pay attention to where you were putting things on the inside of it. And it came together so nicely.
Mm-hmm.
It just is. It's a great model. It's a great one to show off. Um, yeah, just all around a wonderful set.
I like that last part because I also felt like I was like, oh, I gotta pay attention. Like, focus, focus, Grinch, focus. So I'm going to introduce the next award because West, I want you to talk about this one. So I'm going to kind of go off script here. Up next, we have the best real life vehicle set. And the nominees in this category are the Endurance, the NASA Artemis Space Launch System, the NASCAR Next Gen Chevy Camaro, Chef's Kiss, and the Lamborghini Countach 5000. West, what was our winner here?
Our winner for the best vehicle based on real life goes to the Lamborghini Countach 5000. And we picked this set. This is the latest Lego Icons vehicle. And these Icons vehicles have been coming out for quite a while now. And we've seen a large variety of them, ranging from Volkswagen minibuses to, we had the Ecto 1 kind of done in this scale and size. And the Lamborghini Countach is really kind of the culmination of these sets. This is a really awesome looking vehicle for any you know, gearhead. The Lamborghini Countach is one of those cars that like all of us, wish we could have put on our, a poster of on our wall when we were in high school or college, right? Like it's just such a classic vehicle. It has such staying power. The thing has such an aerodynamic presence. It's shaped almost like a door wedge, like a wooden door wedge that you put into your, you know, on the floor into a door. Like it is just it's this lawn dart of a car, and it looks so cool. It has all of these unique angles and curves, and Lego captured all of that just so incredibly well. I will say I don't think they maybe pushed a ton of boundaries with this model, but at the same time, they just did everything they needed to capture the aesthetic and the beauty of this car, and what makes the car so iconic. And so from that perspective, I don't think there really could have been another winner here, because we this was just such a home run for Lego. So a very exciting set to see. I don't know what they're going to do next. We haven't heard anything about the next vehicle. It's going to be a tough one to top, to be frank. So
Um, West, I think the only time I ever saw you get that excited was the birth of your daughter. So, I think we're I think we're on the the right path here as far as sets of the year go. So,
yeah,
um,
let's get on to our
what
next
was our
one.
next? Yeah, what was our next category?
So our next category is the best historical set. Our nominees are the dinosaur fossil T-Rex skull, the Notre Dame um, church, the Endurance, and the Polaroid One Step SX70 camera. So, Grinch, what was our best historical set this year?
Every part of me wanted to pick the dinosaur fossil and T-Rex skull. I just wanted to give that set a shout out. It did not win, but just talk about a small, simple set that just is hitting on all cylinders, and that's definitely it. It was maybe a little bit of a I don't quite know if it fits in this category because it's like is based off Jurassic World, so it's like is it actually historical? But it's prehistoric. So the best historical set, however, is the Endurance, Shackleton's ship himself, or herself, I guess I should say. Just a phenomenal set. Currently working on it. The scale is something we haven't really seen in ship form since like the Silent Mary, the Pirates of the Caribbean ship, where it's not a minifigure ship. It's more of just a replica scale kind of accurate ship with smaller details on it versus kind of you know taking the side of the ship and the bow and then just blowing up the interior and like setting a couple minifigures in it. This is really kind of doing something totally different. I'd say that Titanic is like that, but this is definitely a smaller ship, so that's it's an even larger scale than the Titanic, which was kind of maybe more micro scale. So um, more of this, please. Right, as far as historical vehicles go, it, could we get some trains in a similar scale? Right, kind of Legos kind of flirted with this minifigure, non-minifigure scale train system. Like, let's just do this. Make it a pure you know to scale accurate display piece. There is a little bit of criticism I have with this set, but overall, it's a nitpick of just the sales are maybe a little bit too low. They might need to be a little bit higher. But man, it's just a good ship. And anytime Lego's leaving you wanting more, that set has to be up there, right? It's got to be one of the best sets because it's so far so good as far as building experience goes. And when you look at the ship, your imagination just starts to run wild, and that's what Lego's all about.
I think that's a great pick.
So, uh, up next, we have the video game set. And Wes, do you want me to take this one? Because I think on a podcast, maybe 2 episodes or 3 episodes ago, you said you hadn't played a video game in like 5 years or since the last time we played. So maybe, maybe, how about you introduce this award and I'll talk to the winner, okay?
That's fine. The best
Just like
video
we do
game
with the
set.
Countach.
Yeah, the nominees are the Fortnite Battle Bus, the Minecraft crafting table, Super Mario World and Yoshi, and the Great Deco Tree 2-in-1. And Grinch, what was the winner?
This is actually one of the harder ones to pick, in my opinion. I mean, I'm not a Minecraft player, but the crafting table, I got that right. Like, I recognize a good Lego set when I see one. I've played it before, but it's just not really for me. I prefer my bricks physically, not virtually. Super Mario World and Yoshi was just another phenomenal set. It really almost took this one, and then the Great Deku Tree, for all the Zelda fans, just dream come true. Price was a little rough. The 2-in-1 aspect may be more of a gimmick than a hit, but ultimately I had to give this one to the Fortnite Battle Bus, which could be a little bit of a hot take, but the Fortnite Battle Bus was really all you could ever want for a Fortnite set, right? There's so much imagination that goes into the battle royale of just playing out the entire map, and the minifigure selection with the battle bus is phenomenal, let alone also having the Fortnite Battle Bus be just a really accurate scale, or not scale, but just a really accurate model in general. You really couldn't ask for much more here. So I think this one just hit it on all cylinder from a price perspective, from a minifigures perspective, from the source material perspective. You couldn't have had it much better. But I think the bigger takeaway is less about the set, the best video game set of the year, and more of just how competitive this criteria has become this year alone, right? It used to not be competitive at all, and this year it's really, really changed. Anything on that, West, before I move over to the next one?
No, you said that I don't play that many video games, and that's true. I will say one of the things that I recognize in this set versus the other ones, in my mind, is the playability of this, right? And that has been my
Mm-hmm.
biggest critique of video game uh, sets in Lego form, is that it's hard to, I think, capture the interactivity that you have when you play a video game in the set form. But one of the great things with that makes, I think, Fortnite actually pretty ideal for a Lego rendition or version is that the battle royale format of Fortnite sort of lends you to basically create your own story every single time you play, right? So like
Right.
you introduce your Fortnite battle bus to your dining room table and you can have a battle royale of all your characters and make up a story that's different every single time you play with this set. And so I think it's a great set for anybody who still kind of wants to lean in on their imagination a little bit and kind of let things run wild, and a great set for the adult or uh, older teenager fans of Lego who enjoy this set for the nostalgia factor. So I think it's a fantastic set from those perspectives, and it does set the other ones apart a little bit. The Super Mario World and Yoshi is really kind of a display set. The Deco Tree kind of leans more towards that display. And while Minecraft, I think, does have some unique playability features, I think the Fortnite Battle Bus and the Battle Royale format of Fortnite really sets it apart. So
Well said. I agree 100%. So the next award we have is the set with the best minifigures. And I think this is going to be a challenge just because it's subjective, but our nominees were the Barad-dûr, the Great Deku Tree, the Dungeons and Dragons Red Keep, and the Fortnite Battle Bus. West, who took the cake?
and the winner for this set is the Lord of the Rings Barad-dûr set. And
Oh.
Grinch, I will say you are the Lord of the Rings collector, but I have been extremely firm with this statement that I truly believe that the minifigures from the Lord of the Rings series are the best minifigures Lego has ever made, period. Dot. And I
And the next award.
no, I say that even thinking back to the original wave of Lord of the Rings sets, their minifigures were just far and away
Ahead of
more
their time.
detailed. Eh, yes, we have this can be a whole discussion. So I will just say that I don't think there's a single theme that gets anywhere close to the detail that we see in Lego Lord of the Rings. And I would be happy for someone to point out a theme that does, but I just don't think it's there. So
And I've got a lot to say, but I'll save it for later.
yeah, we
Because,
need to do a theme review of Lord of the Rings
yeah,
sooner
yeah,
rather than
yeah.
later.
Well, I'll probably go on a tangent here at the end of the episode. So, um, what was our next award?
Our next award is the best re-released, reimagined, or remastered set, and our nominees are the Millennium Falcon MIDI scale, the Dark Falcon, the Milano spaceship, and Police Prison Island. Grinch, what was our winner?
The winner, and so this criteria is based off of a set that we've gotten before, and it's been reimagined or something, right? Or they don't really do re-releases in Lego, but maybe redesigned. And the Police Prison Island was awesome because we just hadn't got a police station like that or recently, and it was just a new take on it. But the Millennium Falcon MIDI scale won the best reimagined set in 2024. And we've had so many Millennium Falcons, and the Dark Falcon was close, right, to also winning this because it was a reimagined of what we currently got. But we hadn't got a mini scale Falcon since like 2010, I want to say 2012. Don't quote me on that. And this is totally different than that. It was really an interesting build because um, they kind of designed it similar to how you do the UCS Millennium Falcon, believe it or not. You kind of build the frame of it, you build the main internal structure of it, and then you just put on these plates on the underside, top side, and sides, right? And that's what gives the details. And the old mini scale Millennium Falcon was just kind of plates on top of plates, right? There's a lot of snot here, a lot of clipping here that really helps just take that kind of scale and make it something totally artful and unique in Lego form. And we've talked about Star Wars fatigue. These MIDI scale sets are just the perfect way to kind of just spend, under $100 and get a really highly detailed version of those ships, right? A capital ship, right? You don't want to go and spend, you know, $300 on a Tanta 4. You just want to spend 70. Here you go. Perfect way to do it, right? So the Millennium Falcon MIDI scale just is the kind of culmination of all that and just a phenomenal set overall.
What I will say is that the detail they include in these sets is just
Mm-hmm.
so good. And that's where I think that this MIDI scale series really stands apart is that to your point, if you like the um Tanta 4, for example, but you're like, I just don't want to buy the UCS set or it's retired and I just can't afford to buy that. It's just too much. That's totally fair. Get the $70 version with just as much care and attention that's been put into the larger UCS version. And you get everything you want for it and it fits on your desk and it's easy to pack up and move. This scale is really a scale that I'm excited to see Lego continue to explore with. And we already have some really great uh, ideas of what we're going to see in 2025, which will be really
Mm-hmm.
exciting to see. Some stuff we have not seen in Lego before. So that's really cool.
So the next award, our last award, or our second to last award, the 10th award on our list is the best set based on everyday life. So this is kind of the, I guess, catch-all themes almost award here. So anything that you would find in Lego form and that you could kind of run into in regular life or see, be inspired to do in regular life, we wanted to cover here. So the nominees are the Downtown Streetcar and Station, Andrea's Modern Mansion, the Robot World Roller Coaster, which has just been a dark horse hit of the release season, and then the Plum Blossom Botanical Collection. West, take it away.
And the best set based on everyday life goes to Andrea's Modern Mansion.
Woo!
And this is a set that we have talked about since we started our podcast back in February of 2024.
Mm-hmm.
One that we both recognized for what it was, which was not only a set that really stood out in the Friends line, but became sort of a bridge between Friends to the rest of the Lego world in a way that we had sort of seen before, right? The Botanical Garden did it a little bit, but this mansion really put a fine point on that. And so this is a set that, like, it doesn't matter that it's in Friends. It just, I think, made a lot of us like drop our jaws in awe of what Lego had done. And you could see some reverberations with that through the Lego theme, right? We had a Creator 3-in-1 Modern House that came
Mm-hmm.
out later in the year that was really exciting to see, but nothing quite like this Modern Mansion and the way it was put together. And there was some really fantastic detail with the structure, the base of it. It just, Friends grew up, and literally the theme grew up, and the build quality and attention to detail did too, in a way that I think is well deserved for such a important theme in the Lego portfolio.
Yeah, I mean, when you said the Friends grew up, I'm like, I'm pretty sure all those characters are like young adults now. So you're right. No, I think this left a lot of city people being like, why can't we get this in city? And that's how you know it's good, right? Like when it's just pure jealousy of like Friends is getting this like phenomenal set. And yeah, Friends has always been a little bit of like a deep hit Lego theme, right? Because you get a lot of interesting colors in it. You've always had some like cool builds that you just don't get in city with like shopping malls, vet clinics, horse stuff, etc. But this is the first time where like Friends came to fight, right?
And I think that,
I think the botanical gardens did that too, but this hit on a different level for me.
yeah, the biggest attractor I think from Friends is truly just the mini dolls and their
Yeah.
challenge of incorporating that into the Lego minifigure sized world. And I don't have an answer for that, right? But I would say this is the set that got me the closest as somebody who has been a Lego collector for a long time, who has not engaged in the Friends theme, the closest to engaging in that theme, which, you know, for right or wrong, there's a lot of anyways, it's a fantastic set. Really exciting to see it on the list and to award it with this prestigious award. And last but not least, we are going to talk about our best Lego set of 2024. And this category encompassed not only everything we've already talked about, but is, kind of our wide open category. And I'm going to turn it over to Grinch to announce our award winner.
A drum roll, please. Baradur. Um, it's Baradur. It just is, and I think it's unfortunate the whole gift with purchase stuff that happened with this set. I think that kind of kickstarted a lot of the commentary we're seeing around gift with purchases recently, because I think that is a shadow on a phenomenal set. And if you look at any of the reviews on Lego.com, if you go to Lego.com, you might be surprised. Like this only has 4.2 stars out of 5. Every single 1-star review is people complaining that they didn't get the gift with purchase, which is not a fault of this set, right? And I said I was going to save some commentary on Baradur before because I knew this was coming up, and I wanted to save that tangent for here. But modern Lord of the Rings Lego, right? Lord of the Rings in general is just this IP, and I know the whole Hobbit stuff. We're not referring to that. We don't talk about that right now. Although I think those are secretly amazing too. Um, but the Lord of the Rings movie was made in a way that movies just aren't made anymore. And I feel like that same passion and attention to detail comes to the Lego sets as well. And we've seen it with the minifigures, like you talked about, but we've also seen it with the sets. I mean, they've done a modern version of two Lord of the Rings sets now, not counting those brick heads, and they've not been repeats. Sure, we got a sliver of Rivendell in the past, but if it were Star Wars, we'd be getting the fifth Millennium Falcon, right? We'd be getting the fifth, Y-wing, right? Like that's what's like when they revisited Star Wars, they started with those original sets, right? We're still getting re-releases of those original sets, and with Lord of the Rings, we're getting new stuff that we've never seen before on an unimaginable scale, right? Yeah, we got the Tower of Orthanc, right? Isengard, but this was a whole different scale compared to that. And yeah, it's only a little bit taller, right? You'd think it'd be a lot taller for the piece count, but it's also trimmed down and at a smaller scale than Orthanc. So we keep getting new here, which for an IP that is over 20 years old, almost 20. I mean, they filmed it in 1999, so 25 years ago. We're still getting original Lego sets that keep coming back and are bangers, and you want more for. Yeah, there's a dark period there where they weren't releasing anything, but just a phenomenal set with a lot of care, a lot of detail that you just only see in those original Lord of the Rings movies. That's a reason those are tied, or the Return of the King is tied for the most nominations for Academy Awards of all time. And it's just so awesome to see that, like, Lego, I guess, also recognizes that, or just the Lego designers recognize just what a true piece of literature history, cinematic history, and now Lego history that we have here with these sets. So Barad-dûr for me just had to be the best set of 2024. We've heard rumors of new stuff in 2025 as well for Lego Lord of the Rings, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Very, very exciting for Lego Lord of the Rings fans.
What more can you say? I think we need a theme reveal to really
We do.
talk through this one and give it justice. So
We do.
yeah, it's a gorgeous
So
looking set.
so West, any final thoughts here before we move on?
I'll keep my thoughts to 2024, which I'll say I think was a really great year. We already kind of touched on it. We're seeing a trend of Lego sets really start to cater more towards adults. We're seeing, I would say, a dip in nostalgia, but we're seeing a lot of really interest, or not a dip, right? But we're seeing some of these themes leaning towards nostalgia, which is okay, right? And can take you so far. But we're also seeing a lot of really original stuff too, and so that's really exciting to see. And I'm just excited to see what 2025 has. I wouldn't necessarily. I think it's just. I think you could sit here and say, was this year maybe better than the years past? But there's so much subjectivity in that statement, and you know, inherently Lego each year gets better and better, or they should. And so it's hard to sort of objectively compare year over year and say like, well, 2024 was better than 2023 because of X, Y, and Z, or whatever. And so I don't even want to touch that discussion. What I will say is I'm excited to see what we get in 2025. I think Lego is really dialing in um, their design, right, and their formulas and everything that they're doing. We're seeing a trend towards maybe some smaller sets, which will be interesting to see. We already have some January stuff that we've seen revealed, and
In 2025, you mean?
yes, sorry. But I
Okay.
think in 2024 we got a trend towards maybe some smaller set, more compact is maybe a better term, right? And we've been seeing that over the last few years.
Well, we saw the piece count increase on average and median.
Yep, Yeah, that's true. So it'll be interesting to see, what we get in 2025, and so um, I I'm not sure what that means for the theme, but I think, like I said, Lego is getting more detailed. They're getting putting more attention towards stuff, and it's just really exciting to see. So I'm excited to see what 2025 has in store, and I will say it is the end of 2024, and I still have not opened a set with paper bags in it ever. So
I guess I have because I have dinosaur sets, but I like the bags for the pieces themselves weren't paper, just the dinosaur bags were.
yeah, I'm curious, Lego, when that's gonna happen. So love to see it. Love to see it.
Yep.
But anyways,
All right, so that is a wrap of our 2024 year-end review of Lego. Like I said, I personally thought it was an exciting and exhilarating year for Lego. We hope you enjoyed the award show. But let's go ahead and move over to our next segment. What are we building? What are we building? West, what did you build this past 2 weeks?
it's been all quiet on the Lego front for me. We had a family vacation for Thanksgiving where I didn't build anything. We had 7 kids in a beach house. It was a lot of kid wrangling that had to occur, and came home and got sick. So, surprise,
And
surprise,
is still sick.
still sick a little bit. Yeah. So getting over that, but I did just last night open up the X15, Buzz Lightyear X15. So I got through the first bag. Not much to report. Pretty standard spaceship base, but excited to see where that goes. But I did want to highlight something that I saw the other day and I picked up. And Grinch, you actually bought one too, sort of unconnected. But Time just released a special edition called The Magic of Lego, the toy that changed the world. And thank you for holding up your copy, Grinch. This is available right now on the shelves for our listeners. There's not a lot of, for people who don't know, magazines are a digital print medium that we used to use to either on a weekly, monthly, or bi-monthly basis share information, and in the
What did you
form
call it?
it's a magazine,
Is that a political
sometimes
movement?
shortened to zine if you were cool in the 2000s.
Wait, really? People shortened it to zine?
You don't remember that?
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. No, I think I blocked that out for a reason.
That was like a
Bro, you got any cool zines, bro?
that was like a
Yeah, bro, check out
totally
these zines.
early 2000s thing. Yeah.
No way.
I'm teasing for our listeners. It's definitely something I think our younger generations are a little unsure about, but Time actually, is fairly famous on the magazine front. This special edition, if you are into collecting Legos but are looking for something non-Lego to collect that is Lego related, this would be a great thing to kind of pick up and put aside, and just put it away in your special documents drawer and hold on to this one for a few years, because Time has been a evergreen uh, producer in the magazine world, and people's Times special versions or special editions of things are definitely collectibles. So I would definitely keep this one safe and protected. Grinch, have you
Yeah,
looked?
and I'm looking at it. I haven't read it yet. I actually almost bought 2 copies because I was like, I'm gonna read one and probably destroy it, and then I just wanted one to like keep.
Yeah.
But then it was $15, and I was like, okay, no, I'm not spending $30 on magazines. Um, and so it does say display until 12/20/2024. So if you're listening to this before the end of the new year, before the holiday, you've got a little bit of time to go pick up a copy if you're interested in it. But so far, I read the first couple pages and it seems interesting. It's just more of like a history piece on Lego itself. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, definitely. It's funny that we both, you know, when we were going over our notes for the episode, Wes was like, "Hey, I got something It's not quite Lego, but I want to talk about it. What are we building? It's the Time magazine. I was like, oh, I got that too, and he's like, oh, no way. And I'm like, so we both kind of saw it and bought it. Maybe that's because we're brothers and we think alike. But
I've been meaning to talk
um,
about it for the last few episodes, and I've just been
yeah,
forgetting. So
yeah. So let me move over to what I built. I did actually quite a bit of building. I built the MIDI scale Millennium Falcon, so I rounded out those, and I tapped into my backlog because I had a little bit of time. I've been working so much on my display, and I'm still working on like my getting my Marvel minifigures. I got a Bricklink order coming um,
just in time for you to move.
for pieces of the stands. Yeah, I got like 8 months, 9 months, maybe a year max. It'll be fine.
You better start packing
Um,
now.
although I've obviously been thinking about that a lot, and I will say this move has been a little bit of a burnout as far as the Lego goes because I totally redesigned the display. So normally at this point, it normally would only take me like a month to get everything. I'm talking about just doing stuff on the weekend or weeknights, right? Or I think I packed it all in 3 days to give you perspective. And this unpack has taken a while just because we bought a new house. We had to put a deck in. So we had all of our stuff in our basement where the Lego was going. So I couldn't start working on the Lego room until all that stuff was out of the basement, which was after we got the deck put in and the grass in. So normally what would have taken me like a couple of weekends to get done has like I'm still working on it. And it's just been, building shelves from scratch has gone into taking that Lego time up. So it's taken a lot longer than anticipated, but next move will certainly be better because like it'll the movers are going to put the Lego displays down where they go, and then I'll just be unpacking onto the Lego displays, and that'll be that. So but yeah, I'm making a lot of progress. I'm gonna make a video on my Marvel minifigures here in a little bit to kind of show how I've decided to display them. Because I think I talked about it before. There's just a lot of challenges when you're displaying 500 plus minifigures that are still being produced, and they're still revisiting stuff that they've already produced. Right? For example, if you do it in order of minifigures that were released, you just have this weird wacko order. If you do it by IP, you've got all of your Age of Ultron minifigures, and then all of a sudden they come out with a new Age of Ultron set, and you're like, okay, I got to move everybody over now to fit this Iron Man up here next to the other Iron Man. And then if you do it based off of categorization, the Avengers Tower is technically it's just called a miscellaneous Avengers set. So the catalogs don't categorize it well, but then you've got minifigures in there that are part of Age of Ultron, Captain America Winter Soldier, Endgame.
Yeah.
So it's like if you're trying to do it based off a movie, like do you split all those up? And if you do, that's fine. That's totally fine. But then you need to classify it, right? And then it becomes like then all of a sudden you're like literally okay, SH909 is the Wasp Endgame edition from Avengers Tower. That's going in the Endgame collection. Like you've got to like catalog it yourself, which
Yeah.
takes
Difficult.
a while. So I've come up with a solution that I'm really, really happy with. I got about half of it done so far, like totally 100% done, and it's looking exactly how I wanted it to. So I'll share that in a standalone video on the YouTube channel if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or those podcast platforms. Um, but I'm currently working on the Jazz Club. I've got one more floor on that, and I cracked open the Endurance because I was too excited, but I got to get the Jazz Club finished, so that's the plan for the day. And then I also built an old Prince of Persia set, the like Sands of Time maze thing, because I just still hadn't built that one. That was still in my backlog. So I've got that section complete on my shelves now. And then I built the Spider-Man uh, No Way Home uh, final battle, the Statue of Liberty head, as well as the kind of Sandman extension. So those were two good sets. Um, definitely, again, felt like they were maybe a little bit on the pricey side, but um, at the end of the day, I'm looking at them on the shelf. It looks pretty darn cool, so I can't complain.
Nice.
So that was what are we building? I've got plenty more to build. I'm getting the modulars all set up, so I actually I'm gonna spend all day Sunday working on Lego stuff because the Broncos are on a bye week. So I've got I'm just gonna turn on Sunday Ticket and just I've been really looking forward to this day for the last couple weeks because I had family over for Thanksgiving, so I had limited building time, and
I can't wait.
let's
I can't
build.
wait till you become
Let's
a
build.
father and you have no more time for any of this. Oh, I'm just listening to you describe your free time, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what that must be like.
I also have to like I have ADHD. I've talked about it on this podcast before. I'm not afraid to talk about it. And I've worked really hard on just making sure I schedule my time to be as productive as possible as just like a like I've got it like I'm going to the grocery store after this and I have to because if I don't schedule it like literally on my calendar, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah,
So I think that's helped with like being aware of the free time and managing the free time um, quite a bit too. Like I don't really watch a lot of movies anymore because I just want to be productive with my time,
yeah,
which has been hard because I haven't finished Arcane season 2 yet because I just haven't sat down to be like because I want to watch it uninterrupted. I don't want to build a Lego set while I do it, but I also want to build Lego sets. So yeah, it's the sacrifices I make over here, West. Like
yeah. You know,
it's
it's
December 8th and I
you
haven't
measure
finished
your
Arcane
free
season
time
2
in
yet.
hours. I that it's yeah. I just can't wait. I can't wait.
I actually measure my free time in days.
Well, there's
No, I'm just kidding.
you kind of do. You were like, I have Sunday available to build. I'm like, oh my gosh. Oh dear.
Look, 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 look. Don't hate me because you hate me.
Just wait till Grinch Jr. is a year and a half and running around screaming and chasing the dog and the
Is
cats and the
letter,
yeah, yeah. It'll be great.
letter.
It'll be great.
It'll be great.
It will
There's a
be.
reason I'm putting doors on all of my display
Yeah,
cabinets.
yeah.
Just, again, being productive.
You gotta
Well, I
childproof
can
them.
be.
Just
Yeah.
wait.
So I gotta like work through this backlog is my goal. That's why I'm like
Yeah.
blitzing through because like it's gotten too big. Just when you move, it's hard because you want to keep buying the sets, and then it's like okay, now I can sit down and build them all, and you're just like got El Dorado, I got Ninjago City Markets, I've got the Natural History Museum, I've got the Jazz Club, but the Endurance and the Botanical Gardens and X Mansion just came out, so I got those too.
I have acknowledged my backlog is just growing, and the ones that I
Yep,
get time to build are like the small ones, you know. And so I'm happy to let the bigger sets just grow and collect because right now I just I can't even put a weekend away to do something like that. But anyways, yeah,
you can. You can. You just have to make time for it, Ian.
I
West.
I,
West.
I
Who's Ian?
cannot. I can confidently promise you that is not the case.
So we actually didn't have any brick mail. We had like Taco, commented congratulations, so thank you Taco, but nothing of note in brick mail. So I just wanted to finish this kind of last podcast of the year with a big thank you to all the listeners. This is our 35th episode this year. It is our final episode of the year. We will be back. We will post the expected time to be back. It will probably West and I have not talked about this yet, so West, don't reach through the camera and choke me. It will probably be January 6th will be our next episode, which will be about a full month from right now. Um, so pencil that in, but we will confirm with an Instagram post. The plan is to come back roaring next year, retooling what we've done this year and come back. So just want to say thank you to all the listeners. If you haven't subscribed or followed yet, please do so. Please leave us a review. If it's going to be a bad review, you can always email us and we can work on it. We'd appreciate that versus just a 1 star. But let us know your thoughts about the show. Write in. We'll feature you on the podcast. But um, most importantly, thank you. Thank you for listening. There's been some recurring names that comment. I think Taco's commented on every single one of our episodes. We've got a great kind of collaboration with Mavbricks. You can follow Mavbricks on Instagram at Mavbricks. We've got, our very first writer in, I think, was Eric, where we kept it anecdotal. We had Rob Walker, Doc Man. We had Calvin. Calvin was one of the OG commenters, and he's still, doesn't comment quite as much anymore, but is always on the Instagram liking everything. So we see that, Calvin. We see you, buddy. There was, I think, Fireboy. There's we've built a nice little community here, Jay. So thank you all so much for listening, and also kind of supporting and going above and beyond with the 5-star reviews, and the support and well wishes. So we heard in our first 35 episodes a couple people say this is their favorite Lego podcast. So that's, I don't know, an endorsement that's larger than that. So thank you so much for listening.
Yeah, thank you. And Grinch, you stole my thunder. But I did want to also share, we will be back one more time this year. I believe tentatively scheduled for the 12th of December with
Which is this Thursday, if you're listening on Monday.
Click Together. And we'll be doing a joint Instagram. I'm not sure where that's going to go, but I'm excited to do it. So we're excited.
Just like anything in life, we'll show up. We just got to be there.
Yeah, it'll be fun. So we're excited to continue to engage with the community. It's just been really eye-opening. As an AFOL, you see there's kind of people in this community who have really stood out and have made names for themselves. And it does feel like there's kind of a new generation of creators, or sort of, I wouldn't say like any less influential, right? But like a sort of, there's a whole lot of people out there. And so I would just say, take some time to get out there and really explore beyond some of those voices that you hear a lot from, right? And there's some really great channels out there. We've featured them and talked about them in the past, but on Instagram, if you go onto our link tree, we have creators who we really like to focus and feature. There are some wonderful women AFOLs out there who are doing some incredible building, that we're going to highlight some incredible women creators. The channel Tips and Bricks does a really great job of highlighting different ways that Lego can integrate with both visible and hidden disabilities, which is really exciting to see, and just have a really great catalog of wonderful features. There's the channel New Elementary, who comes out with a lot of great information on sets and pieces and bricks that are being released. Always exciting to go see. So I know we could shout out a lot more channels that we love and appreciate. Like I said, expect us to really build out that link tree this holiday season with more and more, but there's already some really great creators and details on there for links to not necessarily show notes, but to resources that we referenced when we were creating our show notes. So if you're interested in looking at that, please go and take a look, and just continue to explore and be good stewards of this community that we are all a part of, because I think that's a really important part of this is we don't have to necessarily, it doesn't mean you can't have an opinion, right? But we are showing everybody a little bit of grace and politeness, and we're all recognizing what brings us together, which is our shared love of this medium. So yeah.
Well said. I think the Lego community is something special. And a couple more shout outs here. We had Corey Less, we had Jesse, we had Michael Houston, we've got Toys on the Side, we got our boy Expos Wins, who's challenged us on some of the Lego versus non-Lego stuff. So we love the added dialogue and conversation. It's like Wes was saying, what makes this community so special. And that is a wrap of another episode of AFOLs Welcome. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and leave us a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you're listening to this show. If you would like to write the podcast, please email us at afolswelcome@gmail.com or follow us on Instagram at AFOLsWelcome. Thank you for listening, and we will catch you on the next one. Happy holidays and happy new year. Go build something exciting.
See you.